I'm back with the last video of the year, and I'm gonna tell you my top 6 games of 2024. I feel like this has been a really good year for games. We had a lot of bangers getting released, but it might just be a personal thing. I still have that feeling of one game from last year that kind of still overshadows everything that has come after. Oh well. Please bear in mind that this is just a personal list and that I've not played every single game getting released this year. I think Black Myth Wukong is going to be on a lot of people's top list, but I haven't played it, so don't expect it to see it on here. And with that out of the way, here are my top 6 games of 2024. Number 6. Harold Halibut. I am a sucker for claymation movies, so when I heard they were making a point-and-click game in that style and it takes place in an underwater settlement on an alien planet, I was sold. I had to have it. Harold Halibut just have such a charm to it. We play as Harold, who acts like a maintenance worker of the station as he's doing his job and helping the other citizens with their problems. When suddenly the news breaks that they have a short time window where they have a chance to return to Earth if they get their preparations done in time. And if that is not enough, they start establishing contact with an Italian alien race living in the ocean. This is such a cozy, feel-good and chill game with a lot of characters that you just can't help to like. It does have a very slow pace, which might scare some people off, but in this day and age I feel like we all need to slow down and talk to a fish.
But you're the next best man for the job.
Yes! Yes.
Number 5. Tekken 8. The Tekken franchise is very near and dear to my heart, and that comes from the fact that Tekken 3 was the first game I ever played on our first home console back when I was a child. So I always look forward to when a new game comes out, and here we are with Tekken 8, and it's all the good stuff I remember from my childhood, with fast-paced combat, unique fighters, and my salty tears from every time I lose battle. Never has these familiar faces looked so good as they do on the PS5, and the satisfying combat runs so smooth that it just tickles me in all the right places. It even adds a very cinematic story mode, which I really like, even though trying to make sense of the world and story of Tekken is quite a handful. Unfortunately, I'm not as big a fan of classic fighting games as I used to be, so that is why I cannot place this higher in my ranking. But if you love a fast-paced fighting game, it's hard to do much better than Tekken 8. Number 4. Silent Hill 2. It's over 20 years later and we are back in Silent Hill with James looking for his wife in this wonderful remake. And it truly captures the spirit of the original game with modern controls and visual. The atmosphere is as haunting as ever and the updated sound design adds a layer of dread that keeps you on the edge. The puzzles are fun and the enemy strikes a pretty even balance between being very exciting to fight and being downright infuriating. Those freaking leg guys can fuck off and die in a pit somewhere. I hate them! But in a good way, I guess. While the story is very faithful to the original game, the puzzles and settings are different just enough to feel like you're not replaying the original beat for beat, but rather something that will give you a new experience. To give you an idea of how much has been added, most players when they are playing the original Silent Hill 2 can get through it in like 8 or 9 hours. In my first playthrough of this one, it took me 16 hours to beat. So almost twice as much game as the original. And if my backlog wasn't as big as it was, I would definitely have gone back and tried and unlock some of the different endings for the game.
I'm not like you.
Are you afraid?
Number 3. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. It always warms my cold little heart whenever I get to go back to the world of Dragon Quest. And this beautiful HD 2D remake of one of the most important games in the franchise is just what the doctor ordered. This is jaw-droppingly gorgeous in a way that I just never thought a 2D pixel game could get. We still get that classic JRPG gameplay with a few new quality of life updates that make the game more available for a wider audience, while still giving you the option to turn most of them off in case you want the original experience. And the new updated soundtrack is almost too good. But the voice acting that they added to some of the scenes in the game is quite bad. Like almost hilariously bad. But still, this game left me wanting more in the best way, and the other 2D remakes of the other games in the Erdrick trilogy cannot come soon enough.
The light will return, of that I am sure.
Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake.
Number 2. Space Marine 2. this game shows that the time of miracles are not over. I had long since given up on a sequel of one of my favorite third-person shooters to ever get released. But here we are, and the biggest miracle is that the game kicks fucking ass. We are back as the Ultramarine Titans in this epic journey to push back the invasion of the Tyranids and stop the heretical plans of the forces of chaos. We wield the crazy arsenal of the Space Marine that will turn enemies into puddle and bits, and it is so addictive. When you really get going, you're like a hurricane of steel and death. The fact that this game runs as smooth as it does with the amount of enemies on screen is simply amazing, and the Tyranids are so fun to make into mush. Even though I do really miss the orcs, they just had so much personality. But that's just such a small nitpick for this amazing game. Number 1! Astrobot. How could this absolute charm of a game not get the number 1 spot? Every time, without exception, whenever I would boot up this game, I would just sit there with the dumbest smile on my face. I would forget all my troubles and let Astro lead me into a world of imagination and fun. This is the perfect platformer. The gameplay is tight and so satisfying, and the different levels are just beautiful and amazing to explore with the different physics elements around them. For a PlayStation fanboy like myself, the collectible bots inspired by characters from other games are the best kind of collectible. And some of those characters are pretty deep cut, like I almost lost my shit when I saw Jasta from Rogue Galaxy, one of my favorite games on the PS2. Of course, there are plenty of mainstream characters like Kratos, Nathan Drake and Aloy, who also have entire levels inspired by their games. It's a weird feeling when such a clearly new and modern game can feel retro at some points and just makes you feel ever so nostalgic. Fun fact, Astrobot was a late addition to my list. I only got it here in December, but I just cannot put it down. I'm hunting down all the collectibles, which I almost never do. Usually just finish a game and jump to the next in my backlog, but this light-hearted and fun game just gets me to keep coming back. And that is why Astrobot is my number 1 game of 2024. And this marks the end of my little video. This has been a really good year in gaming. Holy crap, there's been so many good games that have been released that I just have not had the time to play more of or just plain out missed out on. 2025 is shaping up to become a great year for video games, with titles like Avowed, Bloodlines 2, please be good, Gears of War E-Day, the new Fable, please be good, and so many more. Maybe we even get the release of the elusive GTA 6. Ooh, I'm not holding my breath on that one though, but we can still dream. So yeah, hopefully I will see you guys next year in another video, and until then, have yourself a safe and happy new year.